Hey everybody, welcome back to Ogre Speed Shop. So we are going to be back on the Lexus because yesterday, after finishing up everything and driving into town, it's shaking worse than it ever has. And I'm thinking it's going to be the CV joints now, the CV axles. So we're going to get underneath there and check them out, see if we can figure out which ones are bad, if both are bad, and get them ordered and get them out here so we can get them installed. So stick around and enjoy the video. First thing we got to do, as usual, is get the car up. But you want to put it on, you want the weight on the wheels when checking your CV joints or CV axles. So I got to drop the Firebird, get the ramps out from underneath it, put the ramps underneath the car. So we're going to do that. All right, so we got the car up on the ramps now. Firebird's up on jack stands now. So just going to get up underneath there and inspect the CV axles. And I got the car on the ramps, in neutral with the wheels locked back here. And probably put a wheel chuck on the back too, just so they don't roll. But I got the parking brake on. So it shouldn't roll anywhere. Now we can mess around with it and see what it's doing up here. Well, we got the parts ordered. We got the new axle shafts coming. They will be here Monday. Today is Friday. So what I'm gonna do up until then, I'm just gonna take you all for a ride so you can see how it shakes when it gets up to about 40 miles per hour. So I gotta get it down off the jack stands and then take it for a drive. So it's a gloomy, nasty day today, but I'll take you for a drive here so you can feel the shake. Well, I guess in this case you'll see the shake, but it happens about 45 miles an hour. Let's see if I can get up to that speed going up the hill here. There it goes. I don't think you can actually feel it though or see it. It's only under acceleration, so let me we'll take a trip around the block. And if it happens, then it happens. It's a nice foggy day today. It's really bad trying to go up a hill, so we'll see what happens. Anytime we gotta put there, I can feel it. I don't know if you all can see it though. Yeah, it does it when I hit the accelerator. It's doing it right now when I'm on the gas. If I let off, the shaking goes away. And everything I've researched and looked at, it takes you towards that, those CV shafts. So, well, it is foggy out. You can only see about 1,000 yards or 100 yards in front of you. Go back up the hill. See if I can make it shake the way it did the other day. There it goes. You can kind of hear the things bouncing around in here. I don't know how well this is going to come out on the video, but hopefully you'll be able to see it a little bit. Let off, give it some gas to go up the hill. Yeah, I don't think it's coming through on the video, but we'll see. Let me edit it and see what we find. All right, I got the Lexus back in the shop, over in the long-term projects area again. And of course, Dick, he finally showed up for work. But yep, so we get it back up on the ground. I'm gonna show you some more things to look out for when you're looking for bad CV joints or CV axles. The parts are coming tomorrow for this, the CV axles. Let's go ahead and get torn apart and ready for when the parts get here. Okay, so if you remember from the last video, putting all this stuff back on, we're going to take it off again. So first thing we're going to do is get this bracket disconnected from here so we can get these lines out of the way. Mainly I'm going to keep the brake caliper on, see if I can tip this forward enough to get it out with that on there. I'm going to remove the tie rod end again, the shock, and this wire harness for the ABS needs to come off. Grab a tin. Remove the speed sensor. Pull that out, get it out of the way. 22, 21. All right, so we get those loose. I'm gonna pull the nut off of here now. Big old 30 millimeter 12 point. See if this gun can take this off now. So that's off. All right, so let's see if we can pull this off of here just by taking if it'll lean out far enough with the tie rod end still attached. I don't know though. Strut mount, bolts out. There we go. Okay, the axle slides out easily that way. So let's see if we can get that axle out of there with everything still attached. Separate from the shock. You gotta be careful when you're prying this. You don't want to pry directly on the reluctor wheel for the ABS. Oh, god dang. Okay, so that's out. And I'm putting way too much stress on this. Get the hanger and hang it. Stress on line now. All right, so getting this one out, there's a mid bearing as well. It needs to be loosened up and removed. And then we can pop it out from the transmission side, hopefully. Okay, so we're gonna get up underneath the car here. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about with the mid bearing here. So you look right there, see that bolt right there? I believe that's what holds that mid bearing in. I don't know if there's another one on top. Doesn't feel like it. So there's a clip there too. I can feel it on the side here. So that might have to come out, or I might be able to, can I unbolt it? Of course not, because the bracket's behind it. So gonna have to pull that clip out right there. If you can see right here. Pinch that together to pull that clip out. And I'll remove that mid bearing. And then we'll be able to remove it. Get over here and pop it out from the transmission. Right there. I got something in my eye. So let's get that unbolted, get that unclipped, and see if we can get that whole thing out of there. And then we'll tear that apart and take a look at, see where the problem might be. Just real quick, just want to take a look at that. See all that grease and grime and slime? That's usually evidence of a boot leaking. And it doesn't look like the boot's leaking now, but that's probably because it's all out, and which is probably what's causing the vibration. All right, so we're gonna remove that bolt right there. I'm doing this all one-handed right now because my little stand ain't working to. Okay, let's get that out. There's no way I'm gonna be able to pull that out, that clip out with one hand, so figure out some way of setting you up maybe. Y'all see where I'm talking about with that clip, right? This thing right here. Gotta squeeze that in order to get it out. And focus, focus, focus. So this little clip right here needs to be pinched and pulled. So I hope you'll be able to see this. I got that clip off using a pair of channel locks. So you see how it's loose up in there now? See, it's out of there. And this, if you look, is already sliding out. You'll see this. So it's already moving and coming out of the transmission already. So I'm just gonna pull it out. And I got a bucket down here to catch any fluid from the transmission. It's time to pull it out. All right, so now that we got it out, check that out. What I just found, big old tear in it. And this is the bearing that it was making noise when it was running. Not super bad, but definitely enough to notice. But I think the problem's all gonna lie inside there because there's probably no grease left in it. We're gonna pull this boot off and take a look at it and see what we see. Let's see if we get this clamp off by using a pair of needle nose. There you go, real easy. And this one here. Heard a noise over there by the car. Couldn't figure out quite what it was. And I realized it's a transmission drain. So we'll have to top that off when we're done. So that boot's off now, so let's slide it off there. And again, like I said, there's that slice right there, so let's see what we find underneath. Wow. Alrighty. There's 0 grease in there, so that's probably where our vibration was at. Really, I think they're supposed to slide apart that easily. You can see wear and tear on these little bearings too. I'd say it's safe to say that since there's no grease in this thing and these little wheel bearings here are kind of worn down in a few places, that's a pretty good indication of where our vibration is coming from. So, like I said, the parts are coming tomorrow. Today's Sunday. Parts will be in here tomorrow, Monday, and we'll get the new ones put in. So we still got to tear apart the other side because I'm going to replace both of them since I'm in here anyways. And yeah, definitely going to be should fix the problem. So for the driver's side, basically the same thing. It's just a shorter axle. You can see back in there. Right there's a transmission. That's where it's going to be popped out of. But basically what you need to remove is this 12mm bolt right here. So it just removes these brackets from here. These are 14mm on the brake caliper. It just makes it easier to remove that, and that way you're not putting any extra stress on the brake hose. And you have down here, if you look, see if I can see it here. So here's your wheel sensor, and there's a 10mm bolt right there to remove that. And this just unclips from the shock right here. So that ain't no big deal right there. And these 2 shock bolts, they are 22mm on both sides. So you can take it off the 22mm. And then the big one is your 30mm 12 point for your axle nut. So that's all there is to it. Those are the main bolts that you gotta worry about removing to take this off. So I'm going to get this one taken apart, and I'll be back when it's all taken apart and the axle's out. All right, so as you can see, I got everything torn apart. The only thing I haven't popped out yet is the axle itself. We're going to do that right now, just using a pry bar. See if I can get in there and not interrupt the video here. It's just going to go up in between right here and just get a little pop. And it pops right out and it starts spilling fluid everywhere. There's a little snap ring in there on this side that actually holds it in place. You just gotta get that to pop loose. And then the axle comes right out. Voila, see the little snap ring right there? So it holds it in there. So I wanted to take this one apart too so everybody could see what it should be in there, but even this isn't right. That's more oil. That grease has been so torn down that it's basically turned into oil. But this is why we're replacing them. But that's what is supposed to be in there and not be leaking out. But like I said, it should be a thicker grease. So I don't know if it's so worn out that it turned into oil or what, but that's why we're replacing them. Well, FedEx just left and he dropped off the new CV axles for the Lexus. So let's get them unboxed and see what we got. All right, anytime you get new parts, you always want to compare them to the old ones. And everything seems to match up pretty well. A little difference in design as far as the housings go. But overall, we are good to go for the install. So let's get them put in. All right, so we're gonna start with the driver's side since it's definitely the easiest of the two and the shortest, so it just goes right in. So let's get it up in there. Just want to be careful not to mess up your bearing or your seal surface when you're installing it. Get to line it up. Just gotta get the pop in with that seal or the clip. I'm gonna try doing it using a hammer here. Get you guys out of the way. And basically, you use it. There it goes. It pops right in. Past that little clip, and you're good to go. The other side doesn't have that clip. It's held in with the bearing. that mid bearing. Bring it back over, and we get a bolt ready. I get this axle through the bearing first. That's the first thing you gotta do. We got to get it up into position. Just gonna want to start it in there. Get the start in. Oh crap, what did I do with the nut? So there it is. Just want to hold it in place with the nut for now. Just so the axle doesn't pop out on us. And I just had a bolt. What did I do with it? Sitting right there, figures. All right, got one in. Be careful with your brake pads. And just reverse order everything, put it back together. Put this brake caliper back on. If you watched my video the other day or yesterday, I showed you how to make one of these, little caliper hanger. All right, so that's one axle in. You see it's all the way in back there. Bolted down here, still got to torque it. Everything else is tight and bolted. So we're good to go on this side. So now to move on to the little more difficult side, not much more, just gotta thread a bearing in and clip it in and all that good stuff. So sit over to the bench and check that one out. So on this one, you remember it had the clip on there. It needs to go in between here and here on that. So you just gotta kind of pop it in there. So when it goes back on the car, it can go into the bracket and hold this bearing in place. There's also a bolt that bolts down and tightens down on that too. And see if I can see the mark. Where's that before? Yeah, nah, not really. You can tell that the old bearing was definitely warm though. But anyways, that's pretty much all you gotta do for preparation for that one. So we can go ahead and go take it over to the car and get ready to put it in. New axle threaded in through there to go through that bearing support bracket first. You don't want to mess up with your little shield there. I have to get under the car and actually feed it into the transmission. Alright, so that's all the way in now. I'll go ahead and put this clip on, that way it's done. And I got this little bolt around here someplace I set aside. There it is. Put that in there and hold it in place for now. I think that puts pressure on it. No, it doesn't really. I don't know what the heck that bolt's there for. Okay, but anyways, the clip's got to go on. Okay, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. There we go. Now it just clipped in. So when you hear that click. One of the fun things you got to deal with when messing with something that's been leaking. All the grease and oil. That's the same thing as the other side. Just get the axle into the hole. Get started in there. The nut started so it holds it in place, and then reattach everything. All right, so everything's back together on this side now. I did kind of booger something up here. See how that's wiggling now? It can't come off there. What had happened is the nut back here, it decided to pop off its little spot weld, and probably because I was maybe cross-threading, trying to force it in there. So don't do that, but it ain't gonna be anything. It's no big deal. It ain't gonna go anywhere. And I won't have to deal with it until the next time I have to take this off, which hopefully won't be for a long time. So the only thing left to do is put the wheels back on it, torque the axle nuts, and test drive it. So yeah, I'm gonna try something a little different here. I'm gonna try, I got the brakes locked up right now. I got a brake tool or a locking tool on there. So I use that instead of putting the wheels back on, because you gotta take the wheels back off to stake them. So if this works, I'm a step ahead of the game here. And again, 217 foot-pounds. And look at that. The brake trick worked. So that's 1 and 2. All right, so we got both axle nuts torqued down to 217 foot-pounds. So let's go ahead and get the wheels back on it. Time for a test drive. I'll show you real quick before I put the wheel on how you stake these nuts. So you see that little groove right there. You just want to take a center punch or something, stick it right there, and tap it with a hammer and get that down into that little groove there. That way it can't back out. That's it. That's all there is to staking a nut. All right, just got back from a test drive and the vibration is gone. I would have taken y'all with me, but you couldn't even see the vibration when it was there. So I'm not gonna try to let you see a non-vibration or see it drive smooth. It's just gonna be kind of a boring part of the video. So, but overall it ran good, no vibrations, set the cruise control for 65 and worked perfect. So there's something squeaking over here. I gotta figure that out. I'm not sure what that's about. And I still need to stake the axle nut on the passenger side because I forgot to do that before I put the tire on. But I also want to clean up because it's smoking pretty bad from all the fluid that spilled. But yep, that's pretty much it for doing the axles. And like I said, I just got to stake this one, check everything, figure out what might be what's squeaking when it's rotating and moving and turning. So, but otherwise, good. I just got back from another test drive and the squeaking's gone. I think it was either the backing plate on the driver's side for the brakes, or I left one of the hangers for the calipers dangling in there. So it might have been that scraping against something. So overall, it's driving great. Like there's no vibration whatsoever. Get up to speed, accelerate, nothing. It's so it's definitely the CV axles that were the problem. So if you like this video, go ahead and leave a like down there. Leave me a comment. Let me know what I can do better. Say hi to the dog over there sniffing the car. They think their mom's home. And if you want to, go ahead and subscribe. So until next time, I will see y'all later.